I played Victor Wembanyama in chess in front of hundreds of people, and I made a 3-point shot as he watched. You see, recently I went to Paris for the Esports World Cup, and on August 9th I was invited to Hoop Gambit, an event that Wemby puts on which features chess and basketball. And we played a chess match in the middle of center court, but first, this happened.
If you score from this line, right, you can have for free a Sneakers Air Force One by Victor Wembanyama. Are you ready? In front of your man. Let him arrive. We want to see him. Wait, Victor, wait. Il va shooter pour toi. He's looking at you, don't worry. No. Yeah. Exactement. Let's go. One shot. If you got one shot, like Eminem said. Oh! Oh my God! GothamChess! Please make some noise for GothamChess!
This was absolutely crazy. My hands were shaking. I was so nervous, but somehow I managed to hit the shot. And keep in mind, my 3-point shooting percentage is probably like 10%. And now we all walk over to play this chess match, which first I'm gonna narrate for all of you, and then we'll analyze after the video is done. So the game opens with Victor going d4, and I think a little bit and respond with pawn to f5, the Dutch defense. By the way, one thing you can't see here is that there are a dozen, if not more, people with cameras. And shout out to my amazing wife for recording this. So Wemby goes for a London. I develop my knight and my pawn. He surprises me on this fourth move with pawn to h3. He's trying to get his bishop out, maybe attack me with his g-pawn. So I quickly look to develop my light squared bishop to the long diagonal here. I give my wife a glance. She definitely looked wonderful that day, shining under the Paris sun. Wemby moves his pawn, and I develop my bishop. Now here, white should consider just developing a knight, maybe the other knight. One thing you don't want to do here is develop the light squared bishop too early, which, if memory serves me right, because I'm recording this after, yep, that's exactly what Victor did. And I was like, oh, and he actually shook his head. I think he overthought it a little bit. He obviously should have gotten his knight out. It's going to be a moment here where he's definitely unhappy. Now, this check that I gave, I was deciding, should I take the pawn or check him? He actually could have defended his pawn with his king. I thought I would just give him a check, but he could have slid his king over there. I wanted to make this damage to his pawn structure, and then I took his pawn. Now, what's funny is I knew that he had made a mistake, but sometimes taking this pawn is dangerous. You're going to see here, his jaw clenches a little bit, and he's unhappy with himself, which is crazy because he's an early intermediate player, but he is such a fierce competitor. He was very, very unhappy. Now, I had to slide my bishop back, and as I was saying, this could be good for black, but it could be dangerous. White does get a lot of activity here with maybe knight and his bishop pair, and the g file is opened up now, so I would love to say it's easy, but it's not that easy. He moves his queen. And I always have to wonder, like, if I was playing Magnus here, would I be super comfortable with the black pieces? And then I stopped thinking about that because I don't think Magnus would play me. Plus, we can't farm him in this video. He's not involved. He might find that annoying. Those who know the reference. Short castles here by black. Very normal. Victor actually went for his rook here. I would have been really disappointed if he did that, but then he blocks. Camera pans over to Julian, who's commentating on a big screen. He was commentating in French, by the way, but we could bring back his audio just for a little bit.
F3 joué par Victor. J'aime bien ce coup, ça permet un petit peu de limiter l'action du fou de Lévy qui est en haut à gauche. Ça limite aussi un petit peu l'action du cavalier de Lévy, mais Lévy du coup qui bouge son cavalier.
So I moved my knight to the outskirts of the board here. Wemby left his king in the middle. And that last pawn move blocked my light squared bishop, but now I can go for a queen attack against his king, which he correctly identifies as a threat, and I believe he long castled here. I'm actually recording this voiceover from memory, but I'm fairly certain he castled queenside in this position. The thing is, his bishop is stuck. It can't go anywhere. If it moves forward, I'm just going to take it with my queen, or if it goes the other way, I'm going to attack it with my pawn. Hey, he did long castle. It's nice to have a chess player memory. His bishop's actually not going anywhere, but I still think it's good to take it. If I'm not mistaken, the game goes knight takes bishop, pawn takes knight, and then queen h4, attacking his weak pawn. I've damaged his pawns, but more importantly, when pawns are stacked like that, I've removed their mobility. Maybe I brought my queen out, and maybe I just developed my knight here by pushing my d-pawn. But no, I did move my queen. I attacked this pawn. And then he slid his queen over. I'm spoiling the game. I'm not even voicing it over as it's happening, because I know what happened. This is really fourth wall here. I'm breaking the wall to talk to the audience, even though that's already me on the screen. By the way, see? A lot of cameras. A lot of cameras. And thankfully, this was played under the canopy there, the umbrella, because it was hot, boys and girls. 37 Celsius, probably 38. Victor protects his pawn there with the queen. And at this point, I'm like, okay, it's probably time to get my knight out. It's probably time to get my knight out. I don't want to block my bishop. I don't want to move my knight to the right side of the board. So I played d6. Now, the computer doesn't love that move. I think Stockfish would punish me for weakening my e-pawn. But I wasn't super concerned. I figured Victor would try to attack me. That's a great move from him. That's a great move. Attacking my pawn. Very well spotted from him. I had just weakened myself. And you know, the reason I'm pausing here is because I respect all opponents. All right? It doesn't matter if you're 1,000, 1,100, which I think Victor is. And it's not because he would wrap me into a pretzel and throw me into the Sen, given the size advantage. I see that the position is a little more dangerous than it seems. So I bring my queen back to defend myself. And now I want to get my knight out on my other rook. And after that, as you'll notice, our queens are on the same diagonal, which means at some moment I could strike in the center with my e-pawn, which is why I developed my knight. There's a lot of folks taking pictures. I have no idea where all these people are from. French newspaper, probably. Some people posted about this. It was pretty cool. So my next move is probably pawn to e5. But of course, I can also bring my rook. The rook in the corner on the right side hasn't moved yet. Victor brings his knight out. At this point, I'm contemplating, do I move my rook or do I move my pawn? I can't actually remember which one I went for. I think I might have moved my pawn, and then he played with his knight and blundered the fork. But I also might have brought my rook. Nope, I'm correct. I strike the center. That was the move that I had been slowly preparing. And what's funny about this move is I actually don't want to take either of his pawns. I want to push that pawn. Because if I push that pawn and open the e-file, my rook is going to get very powerful. Whereas whichever one of the pawns that I take, I mean, it's fine. It's fine for me, but it's... And he hesitates here because obviously if you take with the f-pawn, I would take the queen. Taking either pawn is okay, but I think walking down the middle and punishing along the e-file would be the best course of action for black. Now, of course, this all got very challenging early for white because he had lost his pawn, and also his king is a little bit precariously placed relative to mine. And Victor goes knight to g3. He reconsidered his original move, but that move, even though it attacks the pawn on f5, stops guarding the pawn on f4, which, and you can actually tell, you can see from his reaction, he's annoyed with himself. Which I gotta tell you, as a 1000 rated player, I love that. I love that energy. Like, this is a man who, if he really takes chess seriously, is going to probably double his rating over the years because he was frustrated. He was frustrated with himself for missing that the knight used to guard the pawn. And now, even if he takes my pawn, I'm going to either take his queen and win back the knight or do what I did in the game. In this game, I managed, as I said in the intro, to sacrifice all my pieces. It was a really cool game. And sometimes that's just how it comes together. So at this point, Victor's realizing he's probably in trouble, so he takes the pawn. And I could take his queen and then take the knight back when he takes my pawn, but, I mean, I'm known for something, so I gotta do it. So I sacrificed the rook! Nope, not yet. But I did it. And he can't take, because his queen is hanging. And now, in a case like this, sometimes there's a moment Both of us. I think I think at some point either Julian said the rook, that's why we both laughed. But there are some moments in a situation like this where the side that has the queen under attack can make a move that creates danger somewhere. That creates danger somewhere. And Victor actually finds it. He plays a great move. He attacks my knight and my rook is still hanging. But I had seen a step ahead, and that's what, you know, being a chess master is all about. I saw that he could play this move, and now I bring my rook back, and everything is defended. So I am now up a knight, and obviously earlier material advantage is a pawn, and I've managed to preserve it. Now it's about converting this position. We are going to speed up. You cannot see the clock, but I think Victor at this point was maybe around 30 seconds on the clock. And Victor knows he's got to move here. He can't lose on time. So he brings the queen back. And now I go into lockdown mode, which is something that they also say in basketball. I want to move my rook on a8 to the middle, but doing that is challenging. So I bring my knight. I protect the e8 square from my other rook, and then I'm going to make the journey with my knight to g3. He's obviously creating some counterplay here against my king. This is exactly what you should do if you're losing. So I bring my rook to attack the queen. Now all my pieces are playing. There are weak squares in the white position, which are both protected by my most advanced pawn on f4. And I can plop some pieces down with my rook. He goes queen d2. And now I was like, all right, I think here Victor is going to double up his rooks and attack my king. I think... Actually, I'm looking at this now. I could have just played bishop takes pawn. Huh. Wow. Yeah, bishop takes pawn was just the fork. That Parisian sun, man, it was impacting my vision. Anyway, now I shut down his double battery, and his rooks are suddenly very passive. Now, he can't take my knight here. He can't. Because if he does, I take with my pawn, and then we trade the queen. Starts running his queen away, and I really wanted to take both his pawns with my bishop and my queen, but I felt like that would be opening the position for him. So I play c5. He locks the position. Now my bishop is blocked, so I got to bring the bishop back. Now there are two ways to win this position with black. Trade off all of white's pieces. If we trade the queens, we trade the rooks, we trade the everything. I'm obviously just going to be winning at the end. So that is something that I'm going for. He goes for an attack. Now I can take that. I think he was like hesitating because, you know, obviously his position's not very pleasant, but it's a very tough position. I now double my rooks. I'm going to infiltrate on the first rank. I'm going to make a trade. So he gets his king out of the way. I didn't really care that he got his king out of the way because the point is, if I just trade all the pieces, so I'm going to win. So I go for a rook trade here. Less pieces white has, the less chance that I'm actually ever going to get checkmated. He runs with the queen, targets my rook. Now it's easy. I start trading pieces down. I think here I rotated my queen over to the right side because I could now that his queen and bishop no longer saw my pawn. He continues to try to go for some threats. And I found a really nice combo here. Again, I'm just trying to remove all his pieces from the board. And I'm going to do that now by trading. And when he defends and counters me, I realized I could sacrifice a second rook. It's not really a sacrifice, but you know, we got to hit him with a rook a second time. Rook into e2, pinning the queen to the king. If he takes with the bishop, he loses his queen. And now I managed to pull off another combo. Instead of taking his bishop, I smiled here. And I can sack the queen for the pawn. And if he takes it, I take his bishop. And he smiles, I smile. Nasty combo. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm tooting it. And now the technique here is pretty straightforward. You got to bring your king. You're up a full knight in a king and pawn endgame. You are the only one with a horse. So you just block the white position. You don't let him advance with his pawns. And at some point, my knight will eat his pawns. I will make a queen. And that is how I'm going to win. You got to have this plan ready in every position that you are playing when you're converting a game. This is really more for intermediate and advanced players. As a beginner, you might still be spazzing a little bit here. You got to have a plan. And the plan now is don't let him infiltrate. Don't let him get to my pawns. Take his pawns, make a queen. So I'm looking to win his pawns now with my knight. He's stuck, and he can he feels that. So he's going to make some king moves. I'm going to get in with my king, totally blocking him out. And now it's easy. The knight starts going around. I think I'm going to take this next pawn. Maybe I just go to the other side of the board. I think, yes, I do take it with the king. And now I realize his king is totally stuck. So all I have to do is win one of his pawns and then go promote. His king is actually totally walled in, which is crazy. I took it with my knight. I'm going to take the next pawn with my knight. And then I'm going to just queen my b pawn. And that is what we do. So we push. We push. Good sport, by the way. He could have surrendered. But I like the playing it out. And now he's only got one move. And this is going to be checkmate. And we shake hands. So you guys are still here. You saw the full game. But if you're still watching, it is much appreciated. I actually think Victor played fantastic. He played really, really well. He made a mistake early in the game. But then he bounced back. And I told him afterward, like, if he was playing someone his level, I think he could have made a comeback in this game. Because the pawn really doesn't matter. I'm going to be very honest. And as I said in the intro, shout out to the folks that work with Wemby and that put on Hoop Gambit. It was very nice for them to think of me. And yeah, shout out to Julien Song, who is kind of like the connection between the French-speaking chess folks and the English-speaking chess folks. He was there, he was commentating, and I know the day before he also played against Victor. So D4, let us quickly go through this. It doesn't require a crazy analysis. If you want to learn the Dutch defense, I have a course on it. You can also try it out for free. It's great. I really love it. Now, most people then play knight c3. One thing I will say, if you're gonna play the London, don't combine it with the Queen's Gambit. My professional advice would be play it more like pyramid style, because it keeps out a lot of black's ideas. Whereas if you play it like this, now I have a very easy plan to play bishop b4 check, and then do this, and my game plan is very easy. By the way, this is why the Dutch is so great, especially this Dutch, the Gotham Dutch. But I played b6, doesn't particularly matter. He went e3, and I was very disappointed here. Because sometimes when I play, especially like against athletes, right? And you guys have noticed this, those of you that watch a lot of my content, I'll be playing someone who's 1,000. It is very antisocial. It's very backward to play someone you are much stronger than in a thing and play your hardest. Unless they specifically request that. They're like, play your hardest. I want you to win at all costs. Because it's demoralizing. The goal of being a much stronger, like if again, I can't play Victor in basketball, but in anything you do, if you're a type of chess player that plays casually and tries to destroy everybody, you're a weirdo. That's a weird thing to do. So when he went here, I was like, oh man, like I didn't want to have an advantage so early in the game. I felt bad actually. And sometimes when I collaborate, I'm like, I'm not going to go crazy early in the game. So I was like, all right, look, I'm going to take this, but first, I'm going to play bishop check. And actually, that was wrong, because here, white can defend the pawn. I'm going to be very honest with you. This didn't really occur to me in the game. I was just like, okay, he's going to block, I'm going to take, and then I'm going to take, which is exactly what happened. But he could have just lost his right to castle and defended the pawn. So that was very dumb of me. But he went knight c3, and we got this position. And so now, you got to wonder, like, would Stockfish beat me in this position as white? Of course. Yes. So the question is how? How does white play this position, losing this pawn? You got to get your pieces out. You got to use what's been damaged, and you have to open the position. At some point, white needs to play like crazy like this, and then play like with the queen active, and then at some point, you know, I'm going to make a weakness, and then white is going to open the position, because white has the bishops. White needs to open the position for all the pieces and probably leave the king in the middle. That's the way Stockfish would have played this. He went here, I castled, and he played f3. But the problem with f3 is it allows knight to h5. You see here, Victor followed a very logical process. He wanted to go rook g2, but that blunders a rook. So he's going to play f3, which enables rook g2. But in chess, every move you make helps and hurts. Not every move. Maybe some moves just hurt, right? Like, this doesn't help. This just hurts. But a lot of these moves, they can help and they can hurt. And when you go here, you block your bishop. And right away, it is the top move of the computer. I target his bishop because that's his advantage. His advantage is the bishop pair. His advantage is potential attack into my position. So here, if you think with black, hey, I got to develop my pieces. I haven't gotten my knight out. That would be right. But as you get stronger in chess, there's something called superseding concepts. And right now, this is more important because I'm targeting this bishop and I want to go over here. And so now black is much better because not only does white not have a bishop pair, he has a totally frozen pawn structure. Now still, Stockfish would beat me here. I'm not sure about Magnus. I mean, probably, but like this position is really bad. This position's really bad. Now, if it was a bullet game or something, probably, right? But I'm talking about like this is a very bad position because white is so stuck. The problem for white is he can't move any pawns, which means he can't move any pieces. Everything is sort of barricaded in. Now, this was not the best move because it allows white to now open the position, try to get some counterplay. I could have just went with my knight. I didn't love this move because I'm blocking myself and I was a little worried about this, but this is not a concern. Anywhere you move the knight is fine. This is a completely horrible pawn structure. So it just won't work. But he attacked my pawn, which was nice. And here I hope you like this concept of e5, utilizing this pin. The computer wants h4, and after knight d7, the computer wants h5. And then by the time I'm ready to play this move, it just gets its knight out, and it's clearly doing something, right? The engine is building counterplay where it can. But in the game, after queen h6, you know, I managed to get my pawn break, and as I said, the idea is e4. So for example, had he gone here, I was not going to take because that undoubles his pawns and then trades queens. That's not very helpful for me, even though I win a pawn. I was not going to take here. The best move is definitely e4 because after pawn takes, I can take, and this is game over. So the e file is where the damage is going to be done here, right? He can take my bishop, but he would lose his queen. So that was kind of the point. But of course, knight g3 happened, and then, well, we can go through this pretty quickly. I sacrificed one rook, kind of a sacrifice. I defended. I thought this was a nice maneuver, bringing my rook. Actually, I could have taken the pawn here, but I suck. I just wanted to shut him down. And then once I locked everything, you'll notice here, white just doesn't have mobility. That's really the thing that I was trying to take away. Rook e1. Sometimes when I'm playing these matchups, I kind of want to show how a master controls the game, and I do find this very fascinating. Like, white is controlled, does not have any counterplay, wins the queen, and then obviously the easy move is knight takes e2. You got to do this for the beauty of the game. If Mikhail Tal was watching up there, you know, he would have played a move like this. Now we take, and the conversion was clean. I paused it here. Obviously, the rest of the game, you know, was me bringing my king, etc. And then that's how we managed to get the win. But hey, I just want to say, like, Victor is he's very good, and he's not, you know, he's not one of these performative athletes as it pertains to chess. He's actually a player. He knows a lot, has played a lot, probably doesn't play a lot during the regular season because they're so busy. But I always hear stories of like, oh, this person plays chess, but you don't actually ever hear anything about it. My dream collaboration. If anybody is watching this, if you know someone or are someone who works in a sports team or with a sports league, we gotta put on some sort of cross-league event. Imagine the all-stars of chess from like the NBA versus another league, or within the NBA, an NBA chess charity tournament, something like that. That's my dream. I'll MC it. We set it up, put it for charity. All your favorite fans of all these favorite teams will tune in. Let's do it. Shout out to Wemby's team for inviting me over to Hoop Gambit. It was awesome. Can't wait to see the next one next year. That is all I have for you today. Get out of here.